Okay, let's unpack this. We're diving into a really unique stack of source material today. It's a proposal for a specialized tennis textbook.
Yeah, this one is fascinating. It's called Tennis Textbook, The Power of Joints and Rotation.
And it's not your typical, how to hit a forehand guide.
Not at all. This is a pretty revolutionary approach that was really born out of necessity, out of the frustration of amateur players dealing with chronic pain and just hitting a wall with their technique.
Exactly. So our mission for this deep dive is to get into the core mechanism, what the author calls joints and rotation.
Oh.
Right. And we want to understand two things. First, how is this swing so different from the traditional pushing methods? And why is it supposedly so perfect for a specific body type?
And second, what are the actual tangible benefits for you, the amateur player? We're talking pain prevention and, finding a more efficient way to generate power.
It's a perfect topic for a deep dive because it really challenges conventional wisdom. Tennis coaching is often so one-size-fits-all.
Well, this book basically says that if you have a certain build, that one-size-fits-all approach is setting you up to fail.
So let's start with the origin story because I think it really sets the stage. The book was written by an amateur player born in 1974.
Yeah, someone who was passionate about the game but kept running into, performance limits and, more importantly, pain.
And the author is very clear about their physique. They say they're 182 centimeters, 70 kilograms.
Which is what they call a slaw.
Yeah.
Basically, thin and long-limbed. And this is the absolute key to the whole thing.
It really is, because if you're that body type, you have long levers but not a lot of bulky muscle, you know what happens when you try to copy a more compact, powerful player's swing?
Oh, it just doesn't work. You don't have the muscle density to make that linear push effective without wrecking your joints.
Precisely. The author realized that the traditional methods, which are all about that linear force, that pushing motion, were just unsuitable. They were causing pain.
And that's when they found their solution in Coach Jung Yi-Kwan's joints and rotation philosophy. So this book is kind of positioned as the tennis doctor's special insight for that specific demographic.
The one that the generic books just totally overlook.
Exactly. It promises to take your game from a painful struggle to something that's actually efficient and enjoyable.
And I think for a lot of our listeners, that longevity factor is probably the biggest selling point. The sources are so clear about this.
Yeah.
The conventional swings were causing the author actual bodily strain, but this joints and rotation technique, it allowed them to play effectively without that pain.
And that's everything, isn't it?
Mm.
I mean, if you play tennis to stay healthy, but the game itself is becoming a source of chronic pain, you're defeating the entire purpose.
Totally.
Think about it. The most common amateur injuries are things like shoulder impingement, tennis elbow, and a lot of that comes directly from trying to muscle the ball forward in that linear pushing motion.
Right, especially when your body just isn't built for it.
This method changes where the power comes from. And if you change the source of the power, you change where the strain goes.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting. Let's define the mechanism. Aveliz, joints and rotation. So if traditional tennis is based on a linear, what they call ale, or pushing force, how does hitting the ball actually change with this system?
The shift is, it's fundamental. You're moving from linear force to angular momentum. The classic pushing stroke needs sustained muscle power through the point of impact,
Which, for a thin, long-limbed player, puts all the stress on.
your most vulnerable joints, the shoulder and the elbow. They're just the weak links in that chain.
So if you're not pushing the ball forward across the net, what are you doing instead? What are you leveraging?
You're leveraging the natural mechanics of your long limbs through rotation. The book describes it with phrases like do-do-do, from top to bottom, and the really crucial one, jun-jun.
Pulling or tugging to hit. Okay, I need you to break that down for me. When I hear pulling, I think of slowing down, not generating power.
I know, it sounds counterintuitive, but that's the genius of it. For a long lever like your arm, the fastest way to generate speed at the tip isn't a slow push. It's a rapid rotational whip.
Whip.
Pushing against the ball actually causes you to slow down if you don't have the muscle mass to back it up.
Yeah.
But a pulling motion uses the inertia from your body's rotation to just snap the arm forward.
Ah, so the joints become accelerators, like a slingshot.
Exactly. Instead of being stabilizers in a rigid pushing structure, which is what causes the damage, the pulling motion protects the joints.
That clicks immediately from a physics perspective. You're basically changing your body from a piston, this slow grinding machine, into a highly efficient whip or a propeller.
That's a perfect analogy. And suddenly, those long limbs, which were a disadvantage in the pushing model, they become your greatest asset in the rotation model.
Because they maximize torque and racket hit speed?
You got it. It's engineered to create huge amounts of spin and pace using your body's structure, not just brute force. And it minimizes all those nasty shear forces on the elbow and shoulder.
But wait a second. This sounds like a massive overhaul. I mean, for an amateur who spent years trying to perfect a standard swing, how do you even begin to switch from pushing to this rotational pulling thing without, completely falling apart?
That's the challenge, for sure. The book tackles it by grounding all this theory in really specific, easy-to-picture applications. The author keeps stressing that even though the feeling is different, the result is better consistency with less effort.
So you get that positive feedback pretty quickly.
You do. And the sources show this philosophy is applied across every single stroke, even the really quick, complex ones like the Janchirian, the smash volley.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so with a smash volley, you need explosive vertical power, but you have no time to wind up. How does rotation apply there?
See, even in a compact stroke like that, the power has to come from a joint snap and shoulder rotation, not a linear push.
So instead of just shoving up through the ball with your triceps...
Which is what causes so much shoulder stress, you're using a quick downward snap that starts in your core and uses your joint alignment to get maximum racket speed with minimal muscle. It's about being taut, not just strong.
Okay, so let's transition to the so what for our listeners. I mean, if the goal for everyone is tone a long-term, enjoyable tennis, how does this method deliver on that promise of health, even if you're not 182 centimeters tall?
Well, this is where that tennis doctor idea really becomes universal. For any amateur, the risk of your technique leading to chronic pain is, frankly, pretty high.
It's true.
This book claims to diagnose those core flaws. It pinpoints the root cause of pain in your swing and gives you a practical way to avoid that strain and injury.
That's huge, especially for the younger senior tennis players. As you get older, your joints just don't forgive you as much. A method built around minimizing strain seems like a smart investment.
It is. Because the power comes from joints and rotation, instead of brute strength, it's sustainable. It kind of levels the playing field if you're facing physical limits, whether that's from an injury, age, or just not having a bodybuilder's physique.
It's about smart power, not just raw power.
Right. And then the author takes it even a step further. They integrate a whole health philosophy directly into the technical manual.
Yeah, that part was fascinating. It stops being just a sports guide and becomes more of a lifestyle guide.
It really does. They dedicate whole sections to connecting tennis to broader health ideas like the secret to longevity and something called the 28 principles for healthy longevity.
So mastering your technique becomes part of this bigger lifelong journey of health and well-being.
Exactly. And that holistic angle makes all the dense technical stuff feel a lot more meaningful. You're not just fixing your backhand, you're investing in your future health.
Speaking of making things accessible, let's talk about the aha moments. The teaching aids in this proposal are fantastic for making the rotation concept stick.
They have to be, right, because rotation and joint usage can feel so abstract. So the author uses these really vivid sensory metaphors to make the mechanics click.
I thought the racket face four-way split was so clever. Instead of talking about abstract angles, it gives you an intuitive guide for where to hit the ball for spin.
And to get that feeling of explosive acceleration, they use the kyudusho, the rubber band impact. But I think my favorite one has to be the gelatin elbow.
The gelatin elbow, that's such a great image. What's that trying to teach?
It's all about fighting that common amateur habit of tensing up and stiffening the arm, especially under pressure.
Right, the stiff arm.
A rigid elbow just transmits all that shock straight into your joint and shoulder. That's where the pain comes from. A gelatin elbow is relaxed, it's fluid, it's ready to be an accelerator, not a rigid stabilizer. It lets that rotational whip flow right through it.
It grounds these big ideas in something you can actually feel. Instantly, if your elbow feels like gelatin or if it feels like a block of concrete.
And they even do it for footwork, with odion or bouncing steps, to make sure you stay light and ready to spring into rotation instead of being flat-footed.
And then just when you think you've got the physical side down, the book takes this incredible pivot back to philosophy. It's not just about how you hit the ball.
Right, this is where it all comes together. The author integrates the philosophy of Nikola Tesla, specifically that famous quote about energy, frequency, vibration.
Okay, that feels like a pretty massive leap from a forehand grip to quantum physics. How does a player's internal frequency connect to what's happening on the court?
Well, to put it simply, it's about rhythm and mindset. If your internal frequency is low, you're tense, you're stressed, you're hesitant, your physical technique just breaks down.
Your shots have no energy.
Exactly. Your body doesn't vibrate correctly. The author uses these ideas to build what they call a tennis champion's mindset.
So the goal is to get your internal state, your focus, your emotional calm aligned with the physical rhythm of your rotational swing.
Precisely. When your mind is calm and focused, that's a high, steady frequency. Your movements become fluid, a high vibration. And that allows for an efficient release of power, of energy. The book literally connects inner growth, the jewels of virtue, to your performance in a match.
Get your mind right and the gelatin elbow will follow.
That's the idea.
So we've spent this deep dive looking at a textbook proposal that's basically selling a complete biomechanical and philosophical overhaul.
It's not just a tweak to your technique. It's a fundamental realignment, and one that's tailored for a very specific body type.
And I think that's the core takeaway here. This really serves as proof that finding a system that's actually built for your body, like this joints and rotation method for long-limbed players, can unlock both performance and, maybe more importantly, health and longevity.
Yeah, it's asking you to stop trying to force a square peg into a round hole.
So what does this all mean? We've seen that for a lot of players, the standard pushing method can cause pain because it's working against their natural leverage.
And that a specialized rotational pulling method designed for that structure can resolve the pain and boost efficiency.
And we also saw how the book connects all of that to a larger philosophical idea, using Tesla's concept of energy, frequency, and vibration, which brings us to a final, powerful thought for any player out there who's looking to improve. If changing your swing to one that's tailored for your natural body can eliminate chronic pain and increase your power, how much of your current physical struggle on the court is actually just a function of using the wrong frequency, the wrong mechanism for your unique body?
It's a real invitation to look at your own game.
Yeah.
Are you trying to force strength where you should be using leverage? Are you fighting your own body's design?
Something to think about the next time you step on the court. Finding your own frequency might just be the secret to playing this game for decades to come.